And so this creature began to play its modified golden saxophone. And as that music entered the air, I saw the notes of it floating in the room, and it was drifting out over all of us. And when these notes went into my ear, everything that I feel about these creatures was gone. I was filled with so much love and sympathy for this crocodile, reptile, creature, dinosaur, beast thing that was standing on stage. I was feeling how lonely it was and how it wanted to make friends. I was feeling how sad it was that it gets misunderstood. The music from that saxophone penetrated my core and filled me with compassion for this beast. And I felt how those rats that were following the Pied Piper must have felt. As the Pied Piper was playing his pipe, taking those rats out of the town to be drowned, those rats must have found like they really found a friend in him, because the music that he played out of that pipe was witchcraft, modified, seductive tones that controlled the rats. And that is how this creature was controlling the room. Now, sitting there, I couldn't stop that music from entering into my ears, and I couldn't stop the emotions that I was feeling. But when I recognized that I was having feelings of care and love and compassion for this thing on stage, women, I speak especially to you, because if this could happen to someone who spends a lot of time, and the Lord was showing that if it is capable to happen to someone who is always watching their P's and Q's, then perhaps we can understand, male and female, why I say that when the hybrids show up and begin gazing into people's eyes, when I say show up, I'm just talking about the new breed of them that will come, not the ones that have been here already, have seamlessly integrated into the population, and have married people and had children with them, and you still don't know that you are living with, well, basically part of the seed of Satan. When I realized that I was having this feeling, by the grace of God, I realized that I was having these feelings, and I grieved before the Lord. I was in grief and I grieved to him. And I said, Lord, I see how we will die. I see why we will die, because we will be destroyed by these things, because our hearts will be turned after them. They will coerce us with the music and the thought waves and all this other stuff that we don't have any resistance for. They will drive us to sympathy for them until we accept them. And when they mix with us after, we have compassion and fall in love with them and think, oh, they're not so bad. Exactly the way Beauty fell in love with the beast. All it took for Beauty to fall in love with the beast was time and exposure to him. The more time she spent with him, the more she was exposed to him, she began to see his so-called good side. And the next thing you know, you have a girl going out with an upright dog. I said, God, they will drive us to sympathy until we accept them, and then they will mix with us and we will be destroyed. Why have I lived to this point to see this? And when I was grieving like this, then God woke me up from the dream and he comforted me, and I praise him for that. And he told me that the trouble with us is that we are never satisfied. We're never grateful. We always want more than we have, and it has to be something very extra and different. And he said that this is the work of unrighteousness in the heart of man, and also the work of lust. He said we are not respectful of the boundaries that he has set to protect us, nor do we want to observe the separation that he has put between the worlds. And therefore, when other creatures come down to us, humanity is going to split into those who absolutely don't want this, and those who are going to argue that we must be willing to be progressive. And in fact, if we resist this, this is evidence of how backward and how foolish we are to turn our backs on our chance for evolution. As I'm speaking, I know that many of you are realizing that you've heard this stuff in the TED Talks and the Google Talks and all the talks, and that it has been being pumped to us for at least a decade or more already. And so I saw that when these creatures come to earth, that there will be a huge debate. This is what I was seeing as God was telling me about our nature and how we are. A raging debate came to this world about whether the aliens and other creatures are friend or foe. And this debate was everywhere. It was in the high schools, college campuses, little children arguing at school. My mommy says this, and well, my dad says that they're here to help us and make us better. I saw in the intellectual circles everywhere, media, newspapers. It was the talk of humanity. And this is why this advent of these beings into our world is called the Great Deception. Because if Satan can fool us into believing and accepting that these obviously wrong shapes among us should dwell with us and be part of us, then there is absolutely nothing that Satan cannot introduce to us. So the question at that time was, who are they and what do they want from us? And earth became like a fire point, which means a hot sparking debate because of alien presence on this earth. And I have to tell you, and let me read directly, the vast majority of people eventually became persuaded by all the talking and media and newspaper and propaganda that these creatures meant us no harm and they should be allowed to stay among us. And that explains why a lot of the dreams I have, whether they're shared or not, we're always in a blended society. If you want to know what that blended society is like, you can simply go look at the trailer for the movie Bright. I've never seen that movie and I never will. The Lord warned me against it. However, the world will be exactly like what you see in the trailer for that movie.